Good morning and welcome to Being Your Own CEO. This is our weekly success circle for solo entrepreneurs, or solopreneurs as I like to call them. We got together because we enjoy each other's company. We just before we went live here, we were having some good laughs, which we normally do, and that's part of the fun of it all. But we also like to get together because of our ability to exchange ideas and information. And of course, for me, it's all about giving and receiving support. I'm very much aware of a few people who planned on joining us this morning in some way. A person named Richard Wright. He said he would like to speak, but I don't see him here. So, but I do know that he went in and registered, so he may figure it out somewhere along the way and join us. And a few other people had sort of said maybe, so they may be out there. And so, because of that, I thought it would be a good idea for us to review our principles. I don't do that every week. But it is a good idea to do that now and again, especially if we know there's going to be somebody new out and about or in and about. So our principles are pretty simple. Relationships before business. And always like Zig Ziglar's quote, you can get everything in life and business if you help enough people get what they want. And we stand for positive possibilities and keep an open mind, because we're not always going to agree with each other, but if we're ready to listen with an open mind, that we can ask for much more than that. And one of our participants, Sue Ferreira, that I had lunch with not long ago, she wanted to add, we never sell anything we are not prepared to deliver impeccably. And I thought that was a good addition. So those are our principles that we I think we do fairly well at observing. Then the next thing on the agenda, over and above our principles, we usually have an opportunity to introduce ourselves, basically our name and what we do and where we are, and a sharing of any sort of good news, a discovery, a win, a learning, something new you're doing, whatever. So, Paul, you're next to on the right-hand side, so you're first this morning.
Oh, good. So, I have an echo. Do you have an echo?
Echo.
Yes, there's an echo.
Okay, why don't, still there?
No, it's gone.
Oh, good. Okay. Simply put, I like to help people turn their ideas into profitable actions. And one of the things that has been positive for me recently is there's a young entrepreneur in Victoria that I've been mentoring, and I was able to introduce him to another program called Junior Achievement that we have here, and he's going to be a guest speaker to a school to help entrepreneurs that are younger than him sort of get excited about the idea of entrepreneurship, and from his excitement and from what he's been able to achieve. So that was a pretty good week last week.
That's right. That's really awesome. Wow, nice to hear. So welcome, Paul. We're only seeing your avatar. I'm assuming we'll see you at some point.
He's in his pajamas.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but I thought better of it.
No, but my office behind me is more of a construction zone than even Craig was in at one time. So I'm sparing you the ugliness.
Okay. I must admit that the last time I joined the user-to-user group, Andrew and I had some conversation about my backdrop, and we decided that, and you can see there's quite a bit more light back there. We decided that it would make sense to get a little more light back there. So always working on that piece. So welcome, Paul. Nice to have you here. And Nathan, you're next in the on the board down below here.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Nathan Siegel, hailing from Ensenada, Baja California, Mexico. And the major thing I've been working on lately is an interview series called Legends of Online Marketing, where I'm interviewing top marketers from around the world. And yesterday was really quite incredible. I interviewed Michael Fortin, who I've known for a number of years. He's the CEO of Workaholics for Hire. He's also been a copywriter for 30 years. And for those of you who are familiar with some of the $1 million sales letters online, he was the first guy to write the first $1 million sales letter for John Reese way back in 2004 for a product called Traffic Secrets, which, as it turns out, I wound up buying. And so it was really cool. I wound up closing the gap with him yesterday because we know all the same people. And it was a really fun interview, and I learned so much valuable stuff about copywriting yesterday. So that's what's going on. Yeah, it was really, really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to interview him again as many times as I can because he's just got so much knowledge. And he was a lot of fun on camera, too.
So, Nathan, you're going to have to post in some way in our community where your interviews are. I mean, you're welcome to post regularly so that everybody else can get to see them.
Well, I can't do it yet because the series isn't live. I'm waiting for approval from ClickBank on the payment processing. And once I do that, I'll post it. And you'll be able to look at it. And yeah, I've interviewed 5 people so far, and it's been a lot of fun.
Right. Okay. Well, we look forward to that.
Thank you, Lola.
Yeah. So, Jay, what about you?
Hi, my name is Jay, and I'm the founder of Affiliate Resources Incorporated, and I help people get started in the world of online marketing. I'm excited to talk about email marketing today, or at least emails that get read. It's actually something that I've been actively pursuing. It's funny, while we were in the green room, I kind of hammered out a quick little mind map behind me there. I had this kind of this idea, and I just needed to get it out. That's why I like having whiteboards, so that you can just kind of get it out of your brain, do a little brain dump on a whiteboard. So, I guess you can say gray matter on a whiteboard. So it's actually something that I'm going to be broadcasting in a webinar inside a place that I teach called Wealthy Affiliate relatively soon. So,
right on.
Yeah.
Well, and so you've got an interest, and Nathan has an interest in copywriting, etc. So I'm looking forward to a lively conversation here this morning. So nice to have you here, as usual. And Greg. Oh, just a minute, Jay. You forgot to say where you are.
Oh, I'm in good old YYJ. I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And you know what? I'm going to move my screen here so you can just take a look outside.
Yeah.
So yesterday our weather was biblical. It was just raining, and today look at this. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous outside.
Yes. Is that to make Craig feel jealous right now?
Yeah, very much so.
We just keep trying to make him feel jealous enough to visit.
Yeah, I might have to leave early to put more lotion on my skin because I got burned this morning.
I might have to leave early so I can dig my driveway out so I can leave.
So now the biblical weather's on you.
So, Craig, tell us all about you and tell us all about your snowstorm. Where are you?
I'm not in beautiful YYJ. Outside of my window is a well. So far today, since this morning, let's see. I was out last night. I shoveled 4 inches, and then this morning I shoveled another 6 inches of heart attack snow. And my driveway currently has another 6 inches in it.
Oh
Well,
dear.
we're looking at. They're telling us it's going to be 12 to 18. I think we've already gotten the 12. So
I think
yeah,
you need a
it's snowing.
flamethrower.
It's
Well, you have my utmost sympathy.
snowing.
And the funny part about all of that is where I'm living, we're in the middle of the Santa Ana winds right now, which unseasonably warm weather. It's going up, last I checked, it's 27 degrees here today so far.
Oh well, here it's warmer than that. It's 33.
27 Celsius, my
Yes.
friend.
Yeah, right. Oh dear.
I know. I was.
Craig, tell us what you do.
So I'm in
Oh, there
beautiful.
goes Jay. He just disappeared.
I'm in beautiful Western New York here, and on days unlike today when the world is closed, I help small businesses get their online presence straightened around. So.
Mhm. And I might say that Craig has been very helpful to me in getting my website straightened around, which it isn't straightened around yet.
Well, here,
Working on it.
patience, grasshopper.
Patience, yeah, grasshopper. So I'm really glad you made it, despite your snow. So there comes Jay again. Isn't that you got kicked out again? I guess. Yeah. So Carlo, what about you?
Okay, good morning again. Carlos Salvi in Las Vegas. Greg, we're expected to go up to 80 today. Anyway, I'm a small business management and financial consultant, digitally fluent, self-taught web developer, proficient in several modern programming languages, been accessing the internet almost daily, except for last weekend, since 1992. And currently, as mentioned, I operate a comfortably small digital consultancy business where I work with 6 to 8 clients at a time on 180-day cycles while helping them try to outcompete their local competition, both online and offline. As far as news, this week I'm just kind of cruising. Nothing exciting. Just having fun being here this morning.
Right on. Having fun is important.
Yes.
Nice to have you here as usual, Carlo.
For what it's worth, Malcolm Forbes was credited with saying, "We're in business for 2 reasons, to make money and have fun." And many times when I repeated that when I was working with smaller companies as an analyst, I'd say that quote, and invariably the guys would look at the sky and say, "I got the fun part down. It's making money I'm working on."
Yeah, right. Yeah, we seem to know how to have fun a lot easier. That's for sure. Yeah. I can relate to that. So welcome here. And last but not least, Anne, I'm so glad you're here. It's nice to have another female face.
I'm here to support you, little Anne.
Thank you.
What's happening when I speak today? Has it settled down?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't know what was going on there. But anyway, I'm here. I'm in beautiful Victoria, which I absolutely adore, though I must admit yesterday I was thinking, all right, no one's going to believe me if I say, well, I'm in the paradise of Canada. They look, yeah, really? The rain was unbelievable. Not a whole lot going on. I mean, I am busy, lots of clients coming and going. This morning I installed a new doorbell because one of my clients came to see me yesterday and had to phone me to tell me that he was on my doorstep because my doorbell had just quit working. So that's what I did this morning. I installed a new doorbell so people can actually come and see me when they arrive. Other than that, I love helping people sort out their business, sort out their finances, and kind of put it together, figure out where they're making money, what they need to do to make more. And that's about it.
And you're going to be our presenter at Host in March.
I'm in March. Yes, I am. I'm going to tell you why you should stop worrying and love the tax man.
There. I didn't quite have the title right when we were talking about it. I was saying that all we needed to do is figure out how to stay below the radar. And Jay said, well, start it. As soon as you earn 30,000, start a second company. And then first thing you know, we saw 2 of Jay in the film strip. Oh dear. So welcome here. And I just might say a little bit about me. I'm Loa Lan, and I work with solopreneurs. I like to help them find direction and stay motivated and build systems that make them more efficient and learn a little bit more about their online presence, etc. I certainly like to emphasize that we do this being your own CEO for solopreneurs. And I do a 3-part beginners Google for Business, which I have done in the past mainly as a face-to-face thing, but I'll be well, I'll probably keep that one as a face-to-face thing. And as a matter of fact, my news is that I'll be delivering most of that program to a small company here in Victoria shortly. So I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, my phone seems to be ringing quite a bit lately, and I don't know what I'm doing right, but not complaining. So welcome all. And this morning we thought we would chat about writing emails that get read. It was an outgrowth of something that we were speaking about last time. I think our last topic, it was finding the preferred method of communication for of our prospects, and I guess that the topic just kind of flowed out of that. So I thought it would make sense for us to explore that a little bit more fully, because well, for one thing, I noticed that a lot of people don't even bother answering emails. My email, so it's made me kind of wonder whether I'm writing them the best way. So it's also made me realize that I probably need to go and learn a little bit more about MailChimp, and so I'm searching around for a resource that would give me better understanding of how MailChimp works. So that's kind of the background of what we were talking about. And in preparation for today, I just kind of went online and kind of cruised around to see what I could see, because I remembered Nathan saying that there are lots of good resources out there about copywriting, and so that's what I did. I just did a Google search of copywriting, and I was kind of interested. It's not something that I've ever really searched on, and I was quite amazed at the amount of information that's out there, and some pretty basic stuff, and some things that I would guess that some people would not regard as basic. In terms of basic, well, you know, I guess we talked about that last time. Make sure that your subject line is a really strong one. If your subject line isn't strong enough, then people may not bother to open. The other thing I found out is that you have a maximum of 50 characters for your subject line, which I didn't know. And but to how important it is to use really, really strong words in your subject line. Things like new and exciting and exclusive and introducing and etc. But I'm thinking, as I was reading all of that, I was thinking, well, but it has to contain something that tells you why they would want to open it and read further. So, and then I saw quite a bit of information around personalizing in your email, making sure that the reader feels as though the email was written to them. So being able to find a way to use the word "you," if not their name, and to the tone of your message needs to feel as though you're speaking directly to them, and of course to realize that almost everything we do has a little emotional undertone. It's got to appeal to their emotions in some way. And then what else? In terms of content, it struck me that it's really important before you even begin to write is to know what your objective is. What is it you want to achieve with this thing? And decide whether there's going to be a call to action, and if so, what will it be? Because those pieces need to be decided before you begin your writing process. And of course there was loads of information around how important it is to tell a story, that people are they engage with a story. And for me, and this has to do with my own style as a reader of emails, if it goes on and long, I just start to cloud over. I find I like my emails short and succinct, and I despite the fact that I'm the same as everyone else, I relate to stories, but so short and succinct. Sometimes the best way to get the most information across in a short and succinct way is to use bullet points. And for those of you who read any of my blogs, I use them a lot. Yeah, and there was a lot of information online about people's reading style. A lot of people like to just scan, and so if you format things in such a way that people can scan easily, that's really important. And then the last category that I thought would be, I found interesting, was the language. And of course, before we get into that, typos and bad grammar and things of that nature to avoid. But there was some advice to avoid tentative words. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So tentative words are words like may, try, could, perhaps. And then I saw another piece that talked about using verbs instead of adjectives. And these are some of the things that I would say made sense to me, but may not feel as basic to some people. And then somebody else recommended avoiding the passive voice and using the present. So that's just a real quick and dirty summary of some of the stuff that I found. So there's Nathan holding up the power words. Say something about that, Jay. Or sorry, Nathan.
Yeah, what you're looking at is sorry, it's something I got from John Carlton to do with a course called Simple Writing Secrets. And if you want to learn the art of copywriting, this is one of the reports that comes with it. And when you look in it, like most of the words are verbs, and I've actually used them in some of my own headlines. And like one of them was like, which I really loved using, was faster than you ever dreamed possible as part of a headline. And it was amazing how many hits I got off it, and people were opening my emails. But some of the ones in here, just for the fun of it, are dragged kicking and screaming, lean and mean, quasi-legal, cutting edge. I used cutting edge in a headline not that long ago, which is kind of cool. Urgent, eat up your promised tax cut. That's for a certain person here. Audit proof. We were talking about that earlier. Accumulate wealth, arouse suspicion, line your pockets, brutal, plain English, crack the code, get around the rules, permanently damaged. Most people miss out, on it goes. I mean, it's full of all these really awesome words that you can use in copywriting in your headlines as well as the copy itself.
Would you mind putting the title and author or a link in the unified chat for those of us?
I don't know if you can get this by itself. It comes with simple writing secrets, but I can look up the.
Okay.
Well, let me look it up. Okay, I'll do that right now.
Right.
There is a full series at Copyblogger. You need to sign up for it, but it's free, and there's a full series on copywriting. A free ebook and all kinds of stuff. They've kind of moved on to promoting their Rainmaker platform, but there's some really good information for free at Copyblogger.
And I think maybe one of the things I read was in Copyblogger, actually. One of the things. But getting back to power words, as you were, Nathan, as you were reading off those words, what jumped to my mind was there are some power words that can really turn you off. And I'll give an example of what turns me off. When I see somebody saying something is a killer something or other, a killer a killer app or whatever, I mean that just makes me want to go the other way. And the same with words like war on, all of those violence kinds of words make me just want to go the other way. It just drives me nuts. So we got to be careful about the kind of power words that we use and the connotation.
Well, it has
connotation that comes along with it.
It has to do with the intended audience as to whether you're going to use a particular grouping of words or not. This is something that came up in my interview with Michel yesterday, or Michael, sorry, as he calls himself. And it was really quite amazing. He talked about one particular system, and the thing to do with crafting your message comes from your market research first. And he said if he had time to, like a month, to write a sales letter, he would spend most of it doing market research to find out who was the ideal client. And he would be doing a lot of interviewing and stuff like that. It was really an amazing interview. It was solid gold what I got yesterday. But anyway, the wording that you use depends on the audience. And once you've defined your audience, then you would choose the appropriate wording that would match them. And that's what this was about. So if you wind up using violent words, like let's say if you're appealing to a martial arts crowd or a self-defense crowd, then you would probably be using words like that. Otherwise not. It just really depends. But he was saying everything comes from the market research. And like I said, I learned so much in that interview. It was amazing.
And I can see that there's, for those who may be watching, that there seems to be a little bit of instability in our connection this morning, and so I just need to ask your pardon for some of that instability. It's coming and going, and I see Jay disappeared altogether, so he's probably trying to get back in. So I don't know what's happening this morning.
He said he'd been booted for the 7th time, so he was just going to follow along in the background.
Oh, that's too bad. Why is there a message in the?
It was in the Google Plus stream.
Oh, I see.
Sorry to hear that. I was looking forward to what he had to say this morning.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
guess we'll have to watch it at Wealthy Affiliate.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing I want to mention as well that will help people is if you go on the side here, I put up a whole bunch of links to a site called Boost Blog Traffic. And one of the things that you can get is a report called Headline Hacks, which is a report about writing headlines, because that's when it comes to your email or copywriting, anything to do with that, the number one thing where you should be spending about 80% of your attention is your headline. That's the key. So I put up all these links to Boost Blog Traffic, which is a really good site, including some award-winning headlines as well. Some of them are controversial. Lowell will probably be turned off by a few, I would think. But anyway.
I can't see them because all of a sudden something's going strange. I can't see the unified chat. There's a big round circle going around and round.
Oh, boy. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully you'll be able to see it on the replay. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. So, I mean, I've shared something that turns me off, and maybe that's unless anybody else has some ideas over and above some of the things that we've already talked about. Anything to add of things that we should do, but. Sometimes thinking about what we shouldn't do is every bit as helpful. So,
actually, I have another one, a really good one, which I learned from a copywriter friend of mine. It's like whatever you write is copywriting that you're planning to send to somebody, or if you're writing a sales letter or even an email. He said the number one thing you should do before you even think of sending it out is read the entire thing out loud. And when you read it out loud, you'll find all the flaws and all the hesitation points and all the disconnects and everything else. And that will really help you with your copy. And he told me that this is something that he does all the time. The other thing, like with Michael Fortin yesterday, is when we were talking, he was talking about the ideal customer, like when you know who that is, like in terms of their product. Let's say they had a product in the past. What he would do is he would interview all sorts of people. Like first he would send them a questionnaire, and he told me a bit about that. And then he would go into it in more depth to clarify, but he would also interview people. And he said quite often from the interview, he got almost all the information he needed to write the sales letter. And that was brilliant, just brilliant. So there are just all these different tools, and like I said, when I finally get this thing ready to go, I'll post the link to that interview, and you can watch it. Because I think it would be very helpful to a lot of people here.
Absolutely.
I know when I spend a little bit of time thinking about what emails I actually do click on and open up, and of course part of the problem is we do tend to judge things by our own personal experience, and I am very much a person that skims. So I started thinking about that, and of course it really does depend on who you're trying to interest, who you're trying to get to open that letter. So we do have to go beyond our own personal preferences a lot of the time. But for me, I'm always looking for info. If I get the sense someone's trying to sell me something, I'm not going to open that email. I'm only maybe going to spend a couple seconds on it. But if someone is offering me information, then I'm a lot more interested. So it's kind of, I guess, that principle of getting something before you make that, before you try to make an offer or sell me something. Give me something that's important to me.
Well, has everyone read Jab, 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 Right Hook? Has anyone read that?
It's in my tablet. I just haven't got to it yet.
Well, basically, it's Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
And he's rather coarse, but he basically says the jab, 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 right hook stuff is offer information multiple times, get in front of people with information that they want to see, and then every once in a while you offer up a salesy thing, included in your sale. Included in your information becomes your sales pitch. So, it's You hit them with good information over and over and over again, get them opening, then you get the opportunity to offer them something to buy. And they'll be more receptive if they're getting good information from you.
And you know, that's also true of your activities in social network. I mean, you know,
Absolutely.
what you do is you share what you know, or you share a good resource, or you share something, and I mean, it's really noticeable when you meet somebody new online and they immediately send you a sales pitch of some description. I've noticed that with a number of people in LinkedIn, for example. You know, they'll ask me to connect with them, and I'll connect with them, and the next thing I know, I've got a sales pitch right in my face. And that's not, it doesn't feel right. So providing information, but I mean, Nathan's point about really knowing who your target client is, knowing as much as you can about them. Before, so that you know what kind of information they want.
Yep. One other thing, this report, I just found it online, and I put the link into the Unified Chat so you can download it. This thing is going to be worth gold to any of you who want to write copywriting stuff. This has got so much valuable stuff in it, you won't run out, I guarantee it. And it will probably spark some really good ideas for, well, to look up on your own if you want to go beyond this, but this is one really amazing document. So there you go.
Power Words.
Power Words, yeah, by John Carlton. He's touted as the world's most ripped-off copywriter, or that's one of his taglines. Well, I mean, that's the thing about copywriting. Another really important thing is that whatever it is that you want to write to clients, what you should be doing, or what I suggest, is that you go online and you look for sales letters or email messages that have a similar tone and feel to what it is that you want to do. And you collect all these and you put them into a folder called the swipe file. And there's a reason for that, because you're literally swiping the content but rewriting it to match your audience. Mm-hmm. And a lot of copywriters do that. It's a major shortcut. It will save you a boatload of time and make your life a lot easier. Mm. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I must admit that in my own writing, which is I don't pretend to be a fabulous writer, but I notice that even when I do research, I have to put it away and find some way to say it my own way. Yeah. So, but whether my own way fits everybody else's own way is another question altogether. So, Carla, what about you? Is there anything that turns you off in emails?
Well, kind of along the lines of Dan, as relates to, that they're too salesy, and technically, I really don't do that much emailing myself. I get lots of emails because I'm subscribed to so many technical groups. Most of my emails outbound would be transactional, and when I need to do any kind of prospecting, every once in a while I'll run an AdWords campaign, and that just saves me a lot of friction expense. It's either you do sweat equity crafting the penultimate email, which is fine, mm-hmm. or you do AdWords, because there are so many people in social media today where I question whether somebody's really buying stuff on social media. And in the work that all of us do, there are more people trying to sell services to us than people that are wanting to buy our services. So my position is the same. It's like, if it's information, I'll flag it, I'll read it. I set aside a certain amount of time each day to go through a number of emails. Ones I like, I'll put them into Evernote and index them for future reference. So that's really where I'm at with that.
Mm.
And I wanted to comment on something you just said, Lolan, about it may not be your way. There's an expression I like. It says, just because it's not your way doesn't mean it's not a way. And so the point being is that I think your instinct's right. I think that I'm recalling, again, I got more of a past than a future. So I'm recalling when everybody was doing a lot of fancy talking, like, okay, I met Nathan Siegel, and I'm only seeing that because she's showing up. So, okay, I'm thinking of C, I'm thinking of a gall, and this, that, and the other thing. And you had to go through all these changes when you met people. And you finally ended up, the best way to do it is, gee, you know, we met last time at the mixer. We had a hell of a nice conversation. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Yeah.
And invariably they'll tell you, and they'll feel much more comfortable.
Well, I have another technique for that, and that is when you meet somebody, say your name right away. Just assume they forgot your name because chances are they did.
Well, again, to come back, when somebody used that, okay, with respect to giving out business cards, if I have a lengthy conversation with somebody and they say, "Can I have a business card?" I say, you know, if you don't know who I am and what I do by now, we're both in trouble.
Well, most of us, I don't know about you, but for most of us at our age, we have. I mean, I might remember the business the person is in more readily than I would remember their name. It's just something to do. Something to do with focus, I think.
How do you think they see it from their side?
Oh, I know. They want their name to be top of mind for sure.
I've had my share of senior moments.
No, we don't say senior moments.
Oh, what's the new word? What's the new buzzword?
There's another phrase. Well, the other one is not very not a very good one, so I don't think I'll say it right here.
What, you mean brain gas?
Yeah, well, okay, brain gas. You got it.
I think we should just all wear name tags all the time.
There you go.
So, but we're getting off topic here. So one of the things that you mentioned that most emails that you would do would be transactional, and sometimes emails that I send are transactional. But what I try to do with the subject line is sometimes it's really it's because we need to do something or whatever. But I try to, in the subject line, sometimes I really try to make an emotional connection with that person.
Okay.
So something like, "It was really great to meet you at Host."
Again, maybe it's because I'm jaundiced, but when I start seeing emails that says, "Hope you're well," and it's like, what do they really care? Okay, and it's like something that we got from was it the etiquette rules, whatever. If I have to spend more time figuring out the headline than the body of the email, I'm in trouble. Because, by the way, I time track, and you're going to like this, I time track all my emails to clients so that when I do my billing, although they're not billable, I put it into my overhead or my burden rate.
Yeah.
And if I'm spending an inordinate amount of time in a transaction email, it's my fault because I'm taking out of my own pocket. I run a very, very lean operation.
Well, but I mean, if you're that kind of transactional, I can see you need to keep them really tight and short and so forth. But I was thinking about I was thinking that I was writing about what you do in a coffee date, etc., and how I was thinking about that. How would I, if I didn't arrange a coffee date when I met the person, I might send them an email following meeting them somewhere. And I usually try in the subject line to make a personal connection, not a drippy one, but sort of a personal connection, and then proceed along in the body of the message. But yeah, we are having grave troubles here. People are dropping off like flies. So, but let's. I just haven't heard from Paul, and I want to make sure. Is there anything that drives you nuts in emails, Paul?
Yeah, there's a great deal that drive me nuts in emails. The first thing is I like to know why you're sending me an email. So if in that subject line there's like no call to action, no real reason why I should go any further, I don't. And so it's important. If you're going to give me information, tell me how or why I would want that information right in that subject line. So that gets me to then read the email. I agree with knowing your audience. It is very important. I read an interesting blog from Jill Conroth, who does a lot of inside sales work for companies, and she did it on the weekend, and it said, "What's love got to do with it?" And she said, drop the word "I'd love" out of your emails entirely. It has no value whatsoever. And I thought about that, and I thought that's interesting. I'm not sure that applies to all audiences. I know it would to mine. Other than that, there's not. The one question I'd like to ask all of you is, are you tracking your emails? So do you know when they're opened and if they are opened?
I do.
I don't.
Okay.
I just read recently, I've just stumbled on some information recently that gives a little method of doing that. There's a way to actually get Google to track that for you.
Yeah, it's in Google. It's in Google Analytics.
Yeah.
And, it's essentially it's called the white dot.
Yes.
And
yes.
you put it in the body of the text.
Yeah. So I haven't figured out how to do that yet. It's on my big long list of to-dos.
My to-do list have to-do lists.
I mean, I don't, because most of the emails that I send are directly to people that I'm already working with. I don't send out marketing emails. So I know when people have read it because they respond to me. They answer the question I ask them, or they're asking me a question, or something to that effect. As far as the one thing which is really a basic thing that drives me crazy with the emails, when people do not change the subject line. So you email them about something with the subject line, they respond, but then they end up talking about something completely different. They send you, 2 more emails, and it's all the same subject line, which I find very annoying, because sometimes you need to sort through your emails to find some information that somebody sent you previously, and it's like, really, it would help if you said, what this email's about.
And if you want to raise the feathers on the back of the neck, when you respond, in the subject line, you put updated or revised.
Oh yeah, there's definitely things you can do. But some people just keep using that same subject line for as long as you know them.
Lazy, yeah, just lazy.
Or they don't realize that they can make a change. I don't know.
Well, I've done something about that just recently. What I did was I opened a new email with a new subject line, and I explained. I've opened and the conversations within Google get way too long and get lost. So I've opened a new subject line just to make it easier for both of us. I explain it.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah. So I agree with you that I mean Google now, Google or Gmail now sometimes there will be a little message that will pop up that will say there's another message in there somewhere, but it just gets way, 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 way too convoluted to try to keep track of. You know, it's all right when you've got two or a couple of messages, a reply, and maybe another. But when it goes on and on, it's not efficient anymore.
Yeah, I agree. It's fine to hit reply to respond, and so you don't change the subject line. But when you're onto a new subject, I start a new email.
Yes, absolutely.
Fine.
Yeah.
Pretty basic.
So yeah, the question. What was behind your question, Paul? Do you track your emails?
Yes, I do.
And what do you find? Do you are any sort of specific percentages or whatever? Because we all wonder how many of our messages end up in spam boxes.
Well, and that's one of the problems is Google is doing some interesting things, especially with older email addresses lately. And I'm finding I check my spam regularly, and I'm finding every once in a while, all of a sudden, things that weren't going there are now going there. And I suspect it has to do with Google's the way they manipulate their filtering of your email. And so that's one of the reasons I do it is I know on occasion I've talked to people who have said, like, I didn't get that email. So I've started tracking them, and so if there's especially one that you say if someone doesn't respond to you, if it's an email that I send and I think should have instigated a response, if I go to the tracking and they haven't opened it, then I suspect that there's something that I should use a different methods to deploy to
connect with them.
Connect with them, yeah. I've been using a little program called Mixmax that just sits in my Google Mail, and the free version allows you to real-time tracking and to send and remind. And
oh, really? Mixmax.
Yeah. And, sorry, what's it called? Mixmax?
Yeah. Hang on. Just hang on.
Well, waiting for Paul, have any of you used Snapmail? Snapmail is like Snapchat. You write an email, and you hit the Snapmail button, and it'll delete itself 60 seconds after the recipient reads it.
Oh. So what? Now talk about that a little bit. What's the advantage of that?
Well, the application would be something sensitive like a password update or a certain kind of a number.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
But I've been playing with it with certain people who it just freaks them out. It's like, what?
Well, and I mean the other piece that I notice, and this again, I may have said this before, I notice in my own email behavior, I work really hard at trying to keep my inboxes empty and so forth. But sometimes it gets away on me, and once something runs to the next page, then chances are I may, it may be forever before I'll get to it. So that's one of the reasons why I really work at not accumulating a lot of stuff and dealing with things.
Don't know how you do it.
Well, it's hard.
I was working with a lady the other day, and she happened to go into her Gmail account, and in her inbox was 3,840 something. And she goes, I don't know how to get rid of them. I said, I can help you, but my usual rates will apply.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I know. There's so many people. I've met loads of people who do the same thing. oh, I'm afraid, I mean, they'll say, well, I can't get rid of it because I'm afraid I'll never be able to find that piece of information again.
And can they find it now?
No. Yeah.
I have lots of email in my inbox, but if I haven't dealt with it, it stays as unread. I'll remark it as unread. And once I've read it, then I only keep it if I need that information. I may go back to it. I mean, people send me a lot of information, a lot of files. So rather than, a lot of it gets filtered automatically into folders, but I just kind of, it can stay in my inbox unless it's junk. But it's only the stuff that's unread that's up at the top that I still have to deal with.
Mm.
Yeah, they're still archived into folders according to client and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and I'm using Archive a lot as well because, but I mean, as soon as I open an email, before I close it, there's a decision as to what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, it's to delete it. If I know I got it, I'm pretty sure I'm never going to look at it again. Gone. So
right. Whereas sometimes I get ones I have to take action. I need to check to see if there's something I need to do right away. If I don't, then I remark it as unread so that I can deal with it later. Because once it's read and it goes down to the bottom part of my inbox, it's gone.
Yeah. So now talk about so when you get those kinds of emails, what would be in the subject line that would trigger you to is it just the person who sent it? Yeah,
a lot of times it's from a client. I know there's something they're going to want, that we're going to be doing.
Okay.
So I mean, sometimes the subject line will tell me what's in there, and again, I'm just looking to see is there a deadline that has to be met, something like that. So I might quickly read the email. I don't need to, I've got 5 days before it's got to be dealt with, and right now I'm working on 2 other people's files, so it just goes back into unread, and I carry on. I'll go back to it afterwards. Maybe I need to print some attachments, just depends.
There's a very interesting. Oh, I'm hearing it.
Echo. Yep.
Yeah.
Strong one.
There's a very interesting thing that you can download for Gmail. It's called Boomerang.
Okay.
And what you can do with that is, if it's something that you need to action later, you can tell it to go away and come back into the top of your inbox at a specific time. Yeah, it's called Boomerang.
The program that I put up there, Mixmax, does that as well.
Right.
So you can reschedule it as well as tracking the openings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it really simple to, mark it as unread again, and then it stays up. I mean, that's how I have my email set up. Everything that's unread is at the top, everything else is below. A lot of things get sent into folders, but they still kind of stay in that inbox anyway, unless I delete them. So it's always just what's at the top. That's how I like mine set up.
I guess we all have our own little methods. Yeah. But the reason I asked that question was I was thinking to myself, I think we mentioned that the last time, but I don't know if we mentioned it on a recording, that when I worked for government, we decided that we would put right in the subject line, is this information only, or does this email require an action? And if there was a deadline, we put the deadline right in the subject line.
My clients aren't going to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of a protocol that everybody has to agree to.
Yeah.
So, well.
So, Lolan, it's interesting when you said that was a protocol. I find that when you do emailing back and forth between people, if you start to do something like that, they often realize its value and adopt the same practices. So you don't really even have to suggest to them that that's a good thing to do.
Well, I'm going to be experimenting with I'm going to be experimenting with subject lines. So I'll keep you posted. I'm seeing that we're having really interesting technical problems here, but and I'm looking at the time. We are just on the hour, even though we were late starting. We are on the hour, so we're late finishing as well. So I want to thank you all. Any parting shots about emails before we wrap up? No?
Email's not dead.
Okay.
It's definitely not. It's so much better than snail mail. I mean, I get loads of info from clients through email, but that's a lot different than marketing emails.
Right. Okay, that's a good note for us to end on. Email is not dead.
Definitely
Let's
not.
just get better at it. Okay, I think it's time to wrap up today's conversation with a reminder for those who are watching, please join our Being Your Own CEO community in Google+. You'll find lots of resources there and great conversations, and you're most welcome to post anything, contribute anything that you're doing. I see it as a community affair. And of course, if YouTube is your pleasure, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this is Lowell Ann signing off for this week, and we'll see you next week. And thank you all for joining me this morning, and thanks for those who fell off and who are out there. Bye for now.